Nothing quite like strawberries, and this time of year I can hardly wait to get fresh ones. The prices start to go down and eventually they'll start to come out of the garden, but they're not there yet. So what we have available are those ones that are sort of ballooned in size from going through irrigation that really don't have as much flavor, but this early on they can be okay. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is the importance of taking the strawberries out of your freezer that you put in last year. It's very important that you not leave them in more than 1 year. After that they start to deteriorate. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to use some of those strawberries. Now the ones I've got here, again, are frozen, and they were frozen dry, which meant they were just put on a cookie sheet and put in the freezer so that they were individual and there was no sugar added to them, which is helpful for what I'm doing today because I didn't need any extra sugar. I've let them thaw in the refrigerator just a little bit because otherwise they're just like ice cubes and a little bit harder for the blender to work. The next thing I'm going to add is maybe you want to do it, maybe you don't. There was about a half a cup of strawberries in there, and I'm doubling the recipe. It calls for, it would make a single serving, but I'm going to go ahead and double it today. This is an artificial sweetener, and if you look at the way it goes through my fingers, you'll see that it's very fine and it sort of falls through. It will blow in the breeze with no trouble at all. This is regular sugar, and you notice the difference here. This is crystalline. I need about 2 teaspoons of some kind of, well, for one recipe, 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon for this. But you may want to wait to add the sweetener because the strawberries are going to have some sweetness, and it's going to depend, you know, what good quality you've got on the strawberries. We're also going to add some yogurt and some milk, and both of those also have some sweetener. So you may want to go ahead and add sweetener later. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle it in at this point. Changing from sugar to artificial sweetener does change the nutrition facts on this recipe. We dropped from about 149 calories per serving down to about 117. And if you're diabetic or watching the amount of carbohydrates that you take in, it dropped also substantially, I think from around 26 also down to around 17 carbohydrates. So it was a major change in the shift there, and well worth it. Next thing we're going to add is about a cup of non-fat milk, formerly known as skim, and also a carton of lemon yogurt. Now, many things shrink in the market as time progresses, and the price stays the same. And you may notice the recipe calls for a half a cup. If you've got a 6-ounce carton of yogurt, you may want to go ahead and use the whole thing. If you're making a double recipe, the 6-ounce carton will work fine for that too. Now we're simply going to turn on the blender and let everything pretty much get pureed. Keep it going until it gets a little bit foamy. That's really all there is to this. It's a very easy dish, makes a great afternoon snack, makes a great evening snack, and the other thing it makes a great of is breakfast. Trust me, if you have people in your family who you have trouble getting into the house to eat breakfast, this can be something that is a really interesting, good substitute for them from some of the traditional things that we have, like milk and cereal. Maybe this, a piece of toast, and they're ready to go for the day. For Oklahoma Gardening, this is Barbara Brown.